Hello and welcome to Meanwhile in the Falklands, the podcast by FITV. I'm Oliver Thompson.
I'm Kyle Navitt.
And I'm Steve Foams.
Hey, we've got Steve on for the first time.
Super special guest.
Super special. Not so sure about super special, but I'll take it.
Brilliant. So this is the first time you're on the podcast since your your holiday. So,
my long holiday.
So
steady.
So where did you go then? Was it the Cayman Islands?
Yeah, we went. My eldest daughter Hazel now lives in the Cayman Islands with her rugby playing boyfriend. So we went and visited her. It was really nice for us as a family because we were all together as a family because we took Connie along as well.
Oh, that's
and that's quite a rare event in these days with us all over the world.
Brilliant. And what's it like to be back in the Falklands?
Well, I brought the weather with me, obviously. It's fairly cloudless sky and probably about half the temperature it was in the
I was going to say, you're missing the temperature.
But it's glorious here. No, it's good to be back, to be honest, to get back to some sense of normality and be in the Falklands in the summer, which is a wonderful place.
Oh, exactly.
And Kyle, you were looking after the plants and things like that?
Yes, I was. While the Foamses were away from the house, I had a brief stint as their gardener. And not everything died, which
is good. Which is always a
good.
positive.
Yeah, we did ask for proof of life. Yeah, which was not forthcoming, one has to say. So we were there thinking, oh, what's happened here? But yeah, it was quite funny.
But everything more or less survived. You were saying you got some tomatoes and some radishes.
Oh my goodness, I ate the first tomato. It was luxurious to be able to pick a tomato off the plant rather than going to the West store or whatever and pay £1. So I did relish that single tomato. There are 2 more coming up.
Oh, nice.
Which I've got my eye on.
Nice.
Brilliant. So this week, me and you, Kyle, and Hannah as well, have been quite busy with FITV filming. So you guys went to the IJS, I believe.
Yes, we did. Yesterday. So the kids at IJS and part of their enterprise club they're doing a takeover of Close Your Place Cafe. So all the kids were at the school preparing all their meals and chopping up potatoes and peeling stuff, and it was a bit of chaos because you can imagine having 20 small children in the kitchen. Yeah. It's not going to be the easiest kind of thing. But no, they all seem very, very excited, and me and Hannah are going down to Close Your Place this evening to be treated to a lovely, lovely meal. And yeah, all the kids seem like they're really, really excited by it, and I'm just hoping that everyone had washed their hands because I know that kids can get a little bit grubby, but I'm sure it's not something that I'm really going to have to worry about, so it should be all right.
Yes, well, it's nice to see that you're following in a long tradition of FITV personnel that they go to every event where there's food.
Yeah, pretty much. If there's free food, FITV will be there.
Absolutely.
That's why we go to every single Government House reception. It's just because there's a platter of the food going by. You can't miss that.
Absolutely.
Got to take advantage of it.
Speaking of which, actually, the Government House reception, you went to quite an important Government House reception because this week we've had the Red Ensign group attend the Falklands.
Yes, I did. So the Red Ensign group, for those that aren't aware, is a big maritime conglomerate. That's not the right word. It's like a collection of 13 different overseas territories and crown dependencies and the UK. They're all kind of set shipping rules themselves and maritime rules, and also do a lot of work to protect the maritime environment. And they've been down in the Falklands. So I've been talking to the lovely Chris Locke, who is the harbour master down here, about the Red Ensign and why they've come down. And apparently it's like a very big meeting for them this year because they're about to be audited by the International Maritime Organisation to make sure that they're following through on all their promises and all the stuff that they're meant to be doing. So they're just gearing up for that, and they've been raving about obviously the amazing weather we've been having in the Falklands lately, and all the wildlife and seeing all the penguins. Because if you're down here for a couple of weeks, you've got to see some penguins. But yeah, it's been good. So I've been following them around a little bit, going to their opening ceremony where they had a lovely, magnificent bell that they were ringing to mark the opening of the conference. and talked to the chairwoman, who was very, very nice, and talked to a couple of the delegates at the Government House reception, where they were just saying about how great it is to have this kind of organisation where you can share ideas and share like solutions and problems and kind of figure out what else everyone else is doing.
I'm glad you clarified that on Red Ensign, because I thought it was a Marvel character.
See,
Well,
that's
there
what
we go.
I didn't really know what it was, to be honest, when I first started. I was like, the Red Ensign, and I Googled it and I went, well, it's a flag. What else is it? So,
Well, it has been flying at the Victory Green, hasn't it?
Yes,
in
it
front of
has.
Stanley. If people don't know, what's the flag? What's the structure?
it's
of the flag?
so the Red Ensign itself is literally just like, it's like got the Great British flag in the corner, and then the rest of the flag is just red. And then you can have like the crest of the Falklands or something on that, depending on where the ship is. But what I was most amazed by is that, so in FITV we have years and years and years worth of footage, so much library footage that we've got, and it was very important that if I was going to put any images of ships in there, that they needed to be flying the Red Ensign flag, and luckily I was able to find tons of footage of Red Ensign ships in our library footage, so it kind of saved me a bit. So I was very, very happy about that.
Years and years of worth of footage
Years
built
worth
up.
of footage.
Brilliant. And Steve, you also had a go at filming as well. You went down to a big sporting event between Stanley and...
Massive sporting
Massive
event.
sporting event.
The biggest sporting event of the weekend. And it, rugby, and I'm not talking England v France here, it was Stanley versus an MPA team.
Yes, as it should be.
And it should be. And it was a narrow victory, 15-10 to the MPA side. But it's good to see rugby in the islands, and I hope it continues to grow and get better and things like that. It's pretty much in its infancy at the moment, but it's good to see the sport there.
This is their Dragon Cup, am I correct? The Dragon Cup?
Yes, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yes, I think it was all to do with the Dragon Cup, but I don't think, going on the previous results, I'm pretty sure the MPA have won the Dragon Cup.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But no, it was a good game, fairly decent standards. So it was good fun to be there, and had about a following of about 30 people on the
nice.
sidelines. So yeah, good.
Maxed out crowd then, was it?
And only one injury this time.
Oh, that's
so,
all right.
Which
It's not
is
too
good.
bad.
I think the last one it was 5, and that's a medivac 4 or 5 people.
Oh my god!
So there was only one person who had to be escorted off, helped off the pitch.
Oh my god! Yeah, because I heard that somebody hurt their leg or something last time. So
oh grief! There was dislocated shoulders, legs. I think there was a broken bone or two. Yeah, it was a real kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Battlefield.
Yeah.
It was an absolute battlefield. Yeah, it was last time.
That's to be expected with rugby, isn't it? It's so kind of physical and.
Well, it is, and it's. I mean, you've got to be conditioned, and to be fair, there's the sort of breadth of people's ability to play the sport is quite wide here. You've got probably somebody. I think the oldest person was probably maybe even been a bit older than me. But the youngest person was about 18, so you wouldn't normally get that.
Yeah, good range of people.
Yeah.
See, we had to. I had to do the read out the rugby stuff on the news this week, and I didn't realise that the rugby club's team name is the Falkland Islands Rugby Football Club team, which is a mouthful, and is also slightly confusing because it's a rugby football club team, which is a bit strange. But
Yes. Well, it's all to do with the history, isn't it?
Yeah.
The divergence of soccer
yeah.
and rugby in the depths of time.
Brilliant. Also, speaking of sport as well, me and you, Kyle, went down to the golf my very first time going down to the golf green.
Yes.
I presume that's how you pronounce it. But that was all right. To be fair,
it was all right.
It's got a little golf
It's
course.
a lovely, beautiful day today, so it's a perfect day for golf, and it's not too windy, which is also good. When I first came down to the Falklands, I would never have expected there to be a golf course down here, because I'd have assumed it'd be too windy and the climate wouldn't allow for it. But apparently the golf, we were talking to Mike Summers, and apparently the golf course has been specifically designed so that most of the holes go from west to east, so the wind doesn't really affect it too much.
And it's the Governor's Cup as well.
Yes.
We were kind of covering for the following week. No, but it's quite. Yeah, I agree. It's you would have thought, given all the wind and things like that, you would have thought that you couldn't really have a golf course here. But the people still managed to go out on the course as well, which is quite good, to be fair.
Yeah, I have people that come here have referred to the greens as normal rough and some other people, but no, it's good. It's good to have a golf course here, and it's funny enough, when people do go into the rough on other courses in other countries, it's not such a challenge as it would maybe be for other people.
Yeah. Have you ever given golf a go, Steve?
I've ever played golf.
Yeah.
I did. When my dad was alive, actually, I used to go around with him.
All right.
But I don't play here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. I mean, I do remember going around a course in Gloucestershire, and I got to the 16th hole and I didn't have any balls left because I lost them all. So I gave up and just walked the final 2 holes. So that probably sets my standard of golf. Yes.
Brilliant.
I'm pretty much the same way. My granddad is an avid golfer, loves watching it. Every time we went around his house, he had like the Ryder Cup on or something like that. He tried to teach me how to play once, and he quit after the first 2 holes, I think, because it was just too frustrating. So yeah, I'm not a golf pro. I don't really know much about golf, to be honest.
I've been playing that new one. It's called foot golf.
Oh,
what it is, it's football and golf put together. So rather than obviously using a club to try and hit the ball, you use a football, and to try and get it into the hole. Obviously, the holes are a bit bigger, so you have to try and put a football in. It's really, really good, and I love it because I love football, and it's like a match-up between both sports. So it works pretty good. So maybe one day if it comes into the Falklands,
go dig a big hole somewhere and start a lone little football golf league.
Maybe fingers crossed, eh?
Although I think the Falklands could benefit from crazy golf, to be honest.
Or a mini golf.
Crazy golf
well,
would be
there used to be a mini golf course over at Darwin.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, that was quite for like pitch and putt sort of thing. Yeah. But I haven't been there for a few years now, unfortunately.
Oh, that's a shame. Because I thought that'd be perfect for like the little kids and stuff down here. Make some like Falklands themed obstacles like Bodie Bridge and all that kind of stuff, and the lighthouse.
They did that indoors not so long ago, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Oh, they did, didn't they?
Yeah.
They did it at the Girl Guides did that. Yeah, and that was quite good.
Brilliant. And this week we've also had a shadower as well that's been following us around. So Kyle Pedro from the Brazilian ambassador came to the UK, to the Falkland Islands this week, and the head of communications, Pedro, came along and shadowed, predominantly you, Kyle, didn't he?
Yeah, pretty much. Like Olly said, the Brazilian ambassador. Well, we say the Brazilian ambassador. It's kind of awkward because he's the Brazilian ambassador for the UK, meaning that he's a UK ambassador to Brazil. Yeah. So just saying Brazilian ambassador tends to get a little bit confusing because that's what you want to call him, but that's not quite what he is. But yeah, and apparently he's like one of the chief ambassadors within the whole of the I want to say
FCO.
Yeah, within the FCO. Yeah. So he's one of the like the most important ones, and he came down to the Falklands to talk to us all about the new opportunities springing up between Brazil and between the Falklands now that the second flight is here, and how like local businesses can start accessing Brazil, how tourists can start accessing Brazil, and likewise how businesses from Brazil and tourists from Brazil can come down here and like strengthening the relationship between the two countries, which is always good. So yeah, he came down to chat to us about it, and me and you both went to the press conference, didn't we?
Yeah, and the Government House reception as well, which was good.
Which was packed. There were so many people in there. There was barely standing room. There were so many people at this Government House reception.
There must have been really good food on.
I think there was
good food.
That's
what I think.
But yeah, so that was really interesting. I've never met an ambassador before in my life.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, so it's one for the bucket list. But yeah, and then like Olly said, his head of communications decided to pay us a visit. That was it yesterday afternoon? No, it was Wednesday afternoon. He came by, and followed us about when we were doing some pieces to camera for Olly for one of his pieces this week. Yeah, and we were just kind of telling about what FITV is and the work we do and what and what it's like working here in the Falklands as journalists, because I think he was saying that he's got a journalism background as well, so I think he was just interested to see how journalism works in such a small community, especially when you consider Brazil as like a whole country and continent to itself, pretty much. It's massive,
isn't it?
It is indeed, yes. I was intrigued. Did the ambassador have Ferrero Rocher out?
I didn't see any Ferrero Rocher.
No, I don't know. A bit disappointing, really.
Yeah, it is a little bit.
Cool.
I didn't think of that one, actually.
Unless it was all hidden behind closed doors for private meetings and stuff, which may have been the case.
Yeah, and of course, when you mentioned the Shadower, first of all, I thought you were referring to that DC comic hero. So
another comic book.
So again, wrong again on that kind. In fact, you can see it now. Red Ensign
Red Ensign in the shadow.
You know,
sounds good. Yeah,
sounds good, doesn't it?
Maybe we need to copyright this. Start a comic book company.
Absolutely, yes.
Red Ensign and the Shadower. I think they could have some pretty good adventures together.
They could. Yes, they could indeed.
Brilliant. On that day as well, though, you were also in front of the screen, but not just on FITV screen. You were in front of BFBS screen, weren't you?
Yes. I feel like this podcast is becoming a bit of a Kyle. So I've taken over the FITV. It's all about me now, which as it should be. I've got to keep up my celebrity status around here, so it's how it should be. But yes, I was. It was kind of flipped around a little bit. So some guys from BFBS came down to the FITV offices, and they were meant to. So they were down here to film an air safety video for the MOD, just about how to keep the airway like looking nice and not like having rubbish and stuff strewn across it.
And there I was thinking they'd come down to film you.
No.
and the safety video was just a sideline.
I mean, that may have been the case.
Yeah.
At least that's how I'm going to say it when I put it on my CV.
Absolutely.
They specifically interviewed, no. So they come down here for that. And unfortunately, the air bridge has been struck by delays, as it is usually struck by delays, because of all the winds and stuff that you can't really control down here.
Yeah.
But so they had a few more days, and Stanley decided that it might be a good idea to come down and interview some people in Stanley about what life is like in the Falklands and all of that kind of stuff. So they stopped by our offices, and I was put in front of the camera, which I'm not used to doing in an interview context. Like obviously, when we film the show, it's a bit different because it's just you're leading off a screen and you know what you're saying, and it's not very intimidating because it's like, oh, okay, well we can just do it again. Yeah. I don't think I'm very good at being interviewed.
Do you not enjoy it?
I don't really enjoy it that much. It was very intimidating because they had this like great big massive DSLR with this great big lens, and then they had another DSLR on this side. So there were two cameras on me, and we had all the proper like studio lights that FIT like we put on during the show. And then one of the BF guys was sat next to all the cameras and was interviewing me and asking me all about like what's life in the Falklands like and how long have you been down here and what's been the most exciting thing, like all this kind of stuff. And my mind just went blank completely and was like, I don't know. It's been good. It's been alright. I've done some cool stuff, I guess. Like I'd like to give you an example, but I can't think of one.
That's helped your celebrity stage.
So yeah, well, usually my agent gets sent the questions in advance, and I go through hair and makeup, and I'm prepared. But this was just run and gun. So, but no, it was good. It was interesting because obviously working here at FITV, you're so often behind the camera that I think you kind of forget what it's like to be on the other side and doing an interview and how kind of intimidating it can be. So it was a nice little refresher to be like, hey.
I'm in front of the camera
make sure you're extra nice to people when you're interviewing them because it can be quite intimidating.
Brilliant. And next week as well, we've got quite a lot planned, haven't we?
Yes, we do.
Which is going to be quite exciting.
So, like I said, so tonight me and Hannah were going down to the Closey place where the kids from the junior school are going to be making all kinds of delicious meals. Which should be quite nice, and I think the governor's going down there as well.
And I bet they won't bring any of it back for us.
I know exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. It's an exclusive dinner. It's just us and the governor.
This is for your celebrity status again.
And then what's coming up next week? So tomorrow there is the charity walk for the fire service. So they're linking up with some of the firefighters up at MPA, and they're doing this whole relay charity walk all the way from MPA to Stanley. So they'll be doing a bit of it and then passing the baton so someone else does another bit of it like a normal relay race, which should be quite good. And what makes it even more difficult is that they're doing it in their full, like, fireman, I want to say armour, but I mean outfit. Fireman's outfit. And they're going to be having all their equipment on their back as well.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be quite gruelling. And with the weather being as sunny as it is, I think they're going to be roasting in those outfits.
Yeah.
So I
It's
do
all for a
feel
good
fine.
cause,
It's
though,
all
isn't
for a
it?
very, very good cause, but I do feel
don't
for them.
envy the person that's got to walk up Fitzroy Ridge.
Oh, God,
No.
can you imagine doing that and
Yeah.
all that equipment and all
Exactly.
that? God. So yeah, that's happening on Saturday. And then, of course... Oh, and then that's one thing we didn't mention, what you've been doing this week.
Not
You've been
much, you
doing-
believe? No, I'm joking.
You've been
It's-
doing the... What have you been doing this week?
So I've been doing the 175th anniversary because Port Stanley has been the capital for 175 years. But before Stanley, it was a place called Port Louis, should I say, and they're commemorating that kind of long walk between Port Louis and Port Stanley. So I've been looking at the reasons why the capital changed, and and just basically just about the little event that they're doing. So they're travelling by boats, motorcycles, walking, 4x4s and horses as well. So they're going from Port Louis on next week, from Port Louis to Port Stanley. So it's going to be quite a big occasion. I've managed
There's
to...
been loads of stuff going on.
Yeah, and there's a carnival going through Stanley as well. And they all meet and congregate at the museum as well. So it's going to be quite cool. It's going to be quite
And
interesting.
you've been interviewing like everyone that's involved, haven't you?
Yeah, well, not everyone just yet, but quite a few people, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I managed to get on a boat for next week as well. So.
Oh, that'll be exciting.
Yeah, no, that'll be a piece for next week as well.
Yeah, because that's so we've done a bit of a warm-up piece for it this week,
Mm.
and then next week it's actually happening. So we'll be doing all sorts. I think me and Hannah are going to be on a 4x4 or something like that. Be interesting to see if we can get on a horse, but I don't know if we're covered for horse travel. And also, I feel like well, at least when I was a kid, I was allergic to horsehair, so I don't know if that's still going to be an effect.
Still gonna
Probably
be-
not a good
So
idea then.
probably not a great idea. We'll chuck Hannah
Yes.
on a horse. I can go on a 4x4.
And I
don't
feel
mind
I
that.
should be saying make sure you wear appropriate safety gear.
That was it, yeah.
Yeah, I think Ollie's going to be wearing his boiler suit and all his waterproofs. And
Oh yeah, I've got
all
my
the life preserver and all sorts.
correct PP and all
Yeah.
that. I've got all that sorted.
Perfect.
Yeah, so next week we should probably leave it there then, I think. So
Yeah.
you can catch this week Falklands in Focus on which channel?
One of the 800 ones. It always escapes my mind exactly what channel it is.
Well, on my telly it's 803. But
803.
But I'm not sure it's the same on every telly.
No, I don't.
very-
I
And,
think-
and then on my telly, the HD is on 855.
okay.
Right.
But again, that might not be the same for everybody's.
You heard
Well, it alternates.
you
between-
heard it from the boss. 803 and 855. So we're going to go with that, I think.
But
Um,
it's,
but it's in the 800 range somewhere. So just flick through until you find us. I'm sure you'll see us on the sofa.
brilliant. And you can also check us out on YouTube,
Yep.
Twitter and Facebook
Yep.
for all the other bits of content that we've got going on. And our podcast will also be on YouTube and SoundCloud if
Yes.
you're not listening to it already. So all that's left for us to say is see you later.
Bye bye.
Au revoir.